Hey guys, welcome back to the Push Podcast. I'm Janelle Copeland.
What's up, y'all? How you doing?
You don't have an intro?
Oh, yes. My name is Eddie.
Boring. What happened to you?
All of a sudden people want,
No, people don't want anything. Moving on. Welcome to episode number 164.
It's Edward J. Copeland, the ones and twos. What up, y'all? Is that better?
Sure, honey. Jesus. Do you have anything you'd like to say? Anything else?
No, go ahead. You can continue with the intro.
This is episode number 164 of the Push Podcast. I have a what in the world. Do you?
No, you go first.
You go first.
I feel like I had one. I don't remember what it is.
And you forgot it?
Yeah, you go ahead though.
Okay, well, I took a flight this past weekend and I was wearing slacks and a tank top and, semi-professional, I guess, because I was going to go to dinner when I got to my destination. And I'm on the, what do you call that? When you're like, you give your boarding pass and you enter the tunnel. What do you call that?
Tarmac?
No, the plane is on the tarmac. I'm in the tunnel.
The tunnel.
Okay, we'll call it the tunnel. So I'm in there walking and then come to a stop because there's a line. And then the woman behind or in front of me turns around and she says, "Oh, you look pretty, like you're going to Hawaii." And I go,
"What, slacks?"
"I'm sorry, what?" And she said, "You must be going to Hawaii." I'm getting on the plane to Sacramento, just like you are. You're going to Sacramento.
Right.
And I said, "No, actually, I'm going to the same place you are, Sacramento." She goes, "Oh, is that your final destination? You look like you're going to Hawaii." Like in 10 seconds, she told me 3 times I looked like I was going to Hawaii. And I was
Maybe she was trying to say like you look like you're Hawaiian or something.
No,
Maybe.
She said you look like you're going to Hawaii. And she goes, then she goes, "Well, what are you going for?" And I was like, I'm going to just visit family.
That's when you respond and say, "My mother said not to talk to strangers." You just tell.
It just caught me so off guard because I
Right.
literally walked in the tunnel and she turned around just like because she noticed somebody behind her. She goes, "You look pretty, like you're going to Hawaii." I was like, "What? Like who looks like they're going to Hawaii?" I didn't have any Hawaiian print, nothing.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. And I was like, "Lord, please don't let me sit next to this lady on the plane because I don't think she's going to stop talking." But anyways, I was visiting my brother, Jared, and he told me this very interesting thing that he likes to watch on YouTube. And it's called Narc. Okay, so here's my question to you. When you go to the grocery store and you take a cart, you've checked out, you drive the cart to your car and you unload your groceries, do you take the cart back or do you leave it in the parking lot? Or do you put it in the corral?
I'll put it in the corral.
Okay. So apparently there's a show on YouTube called Narc where this guy literally is like filming people in the parking lot of grocery stores and he's waiting for you to be lazy. And then he like full blown comes out and has this whole thing like, "Excuse me, I'm with the such and such," like acts very professional, but asks you if you're a lazy bones.
Yeah.
Because why didn't you like have the courtesy
Right.
to bring back the cart?
Right.
And so people are like, "Oh, whatever." And so he slaps this magnetic bumper sticker on your car that says "Lazy Bones." And then people get all upset. And so they try to take it off. And then he's like, "All you had to do was take your cart back." And then so they take it off and he slaps another one on. So I guess it's like this whole confrontation in a parking lot of a grocery store.
God.
And he's called the Narc, and I guess he's got a ton of like YouTube videos, and they go viral. There's like over 100 of them.
That's hilarious.
Where he catches people. So this is like a public service announcement. If you are one of those lazy bones, lazy people that doesn't take the cart back, here's why it's important to me. My very first job,
Yeah.
I worked at a grocery store. I prided myself on clearing the parking lot, making sure there were no carts there. And there would always be someone super lazy that sees me busting my ass in 115-degree weather and, sees me pushing 25 carts and then they just leave it there in front of their car. And I used to always think like, God, it's so disrespectful.
Yeah.
But I understand people are in a hurry and we have busy lives or whatever. But usually there's a couple of cart corrals in the parking lot. All you got to do is just throw it in there. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you should take your carts to the cart corral.
I do too.
Or if it's closer to you, to take it back. I just feel like it's there for your convenience.
Mm-hmm.
If you showed up at the grocery store, on a Wednesday and all the carts were gone, you would throw a fit. And if they said, "Hey, we had to get rid of all the carts because people weren't putting them back," and it just was a nuisance for us. So we removed all the carts. So you're going to have to hold your own groceries until you check out. So you can bring a bag to carry your stuff, or you got to carry it in your hand.
I think that's ridiculous, but
people would correct their behaviors, right?
Yeah, but like that's part of like the grocery store is like supplying
but
you
how
with
do
baskets.
you teach these people a lesson? Okay.
I don't know that they need to be taught a lesson, but it has always bothered me if people just like walk a couple extra steps, put it in the corral.
Don't be a lazy bones.
Yeah. So I don't know. Be careful, beware if you are at a grocery store, Target, something, and you decide you don't want to take the cart back.
Great.
Just
That's
look
fantastic.
around to see if anyone's randomly filming you because you might go viral on cart narc.
Yeah. So that's great. I had like a quick little thought.
Okay.
Not about cart narc, but I will tell you, like, there is something for everyone. I mean, where did he find that?
I don't know, but he loves it.
What kind of variations of episodes are there? Like, I mean, it seems like it'll be the same conversation. I think the thing that gives it like some spontaneity is the fact that you have no idea how somebody's going to respond once you slap a bumper sticker.
So apparently
on the
the guy's excessively like polite.
Oh.
But he's still putting like a bumper sticker on your car that says lazy bones.
You're making me do this. I'm so sorry.
It's like his civil duty. Civic duty.
Civic duty. Yeah, that's right.
And he is just like excessively polite. That's what makes it so entertaining.
Thinking about like civic duty, like what is like something that you would say that you do that is like
I pick up litter, like trash. If I'm in a parking lot and I see that someone has thrown like a Jack in the Box cup outside of their window, I don't just walk over it. I pick it up. I put it in the trash. It drives me nuts.
I find myself doing that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, we're married.
Yeah, I find like if I like to think, oh, I want to leave things better than I found it.
Yeah, leave the world in a better place than you found it.
Is there anything else that you think that you do that's like a civic duty?
I give homeless people clothes and shoes.
Yeah.
I never like let things go to waste.
You have a big heart on that.
I always, I'm really big on that.
Yeah. I think that's good.
I'm also a big like donator. Like one time I was coming out of Home Goods and I had spent a bunch of money on shit for the house that I didn't really need, but it's good decorations. And I never carry cash.
Right.
But this one day I had a $100 bill. I think it was like a birthday present someone had sent me. And I came out of Home Goods and this woman came up to me and she was homeless and she started crying and telling me the story and she needed money and hadn't eaten in 3 days. And I was like, I'd be lying if I said I didn't have any money.
Right.
And so, because I'm holding my Home Goods bags, I just spent like $200 on washcloths and dumb shit. And so just something in me was like, okay, let me see how much money I have. And then I didn't realize that I only had the $100 bill. And I was faced with that moment of, do I lie to her and tell her I don't have any money? Well, I'm not going to do that.
You didn't ask her if she had change?
I did not ask her if she had change. Do you have change? Actually, I only have 100.
I do have something for you.
No.
But I'm going to need you to break 100.
So I gave her a $100 bill and she started crying.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think that's my duty.
Yeah. So
I think everyone should help when they can.
I think so too. I think if more people like thought about their community in that way without judgment and just helped and just did a little bit of something, I think this world would be even better than where it is.
Well, yeah, because someone said, well, what if she goes and does drugs? I go, well, that's not on me. That's on her.
Yeah.
Like, I did the right thing. I have to assume positive intent.
You can't qualify
I can't be
everyone that you give money to.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly don't always feel comfortable with like these big organizations that like you go to the grocery store. Do you want to donate your 75 cents to the blah, blah, blah?
I feel like it's a scam.
I feel like I have no attachment to that. Like I have no emotional kind of pull. It's just for like guilt. Somebody says, you want to donate to the, children's hospital. You're like, I guess I have to. But I don't know if you're
I do it out of obligation.
Are all this, is there a CEO making tons of money? So speaking of money.
But one time really quick at Home Goods, surprisingly, I was like, where does the money go? Like what hospital or what school? And she goes, actually, it goes to the local school, such and such. She told me the local schools. And I was like, absolutely, $25.
Yeah.
Because I was familiar with, those schools in the community. But yeah, if it's like, do you want to donate to the Red Cross? I don't know.
Yeah. But so we watched something. So my what in the world is like, why did it's a what I wrote about myself.
Oh, Okay.
I found myself,
personal development podcast.
Yeah, I found myself a little emotional from the Manti Te'o story at the end. This guy, I was like, first of all, when I first heard about this thing, and so if you don't know, there's a documentary on
Manti Te'o.
Yeah, on Netflix. It's with Manti Te'o. He was a football player, played at Notre Dame, had a story, college career, and then gets into this situation where he has this girlfriend that is a pen pal, pretty much, that he never ever meets. Mm-hmm. You can laugh. You're not gonna laugh at that.
A pen pal, okay. But basically, social media catfish.
Yeah, he got catfished, right? And so all of a sudden, like, he loses his grandmother, I think it was, and then the very next day,
the catfish
he loses the catfish pen pal girlfriend.
Why are you calling her a pen pal?
Because he only knew her via text and messages. So it's like
they spoke on the phone.
Yeah, if this was like 40 years ago, it would be a pen pal. But now it is these days.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. They spoke on the phone. Yeah, that's right.
A pen is a pen, though. Pen pal is like you're writing letters.
Okay, I'm making light of it.
Okay,
all right.
go.
Whatever. I don't want to cry. Okay, so I'm making jokes. So we watch this, and we're watching this guy's entire life just erode.
Yeah.
I mean, he's at the top of the top in the world, and then it leaks that potentially this girlfriend does not exist. And part of half the people think he's in on it. Half people think that he's not.
Well, they think, how stupid could you be? That's so ignorant. Like, you can't be that naive. Right. Like, you got played, bro. You're stupid.
Because no one can imagine that any person of that stature would fall for something like that. And so it was.
And he could have had any girl in the world.
Right.
And supposedly you fall in love with someone who you've never seen for 4 years.
Right. It's very peculiar.
Right. But it's a great story, and I believe him 1,000,000%.
But and you're glad to see that his life is great now. He's moved on. But the crazy thing was like he lost his edge. Right? So he was this fantastic football player
with confidence.
And his confidence is there. And then all of a sudden, like, the crowd turns their applause into boos and ridicule, and along with that downward spiral, so did his like confidence in himself.
Well, yeah, because he was put on first of all, this is a week or so before the NFL draft.
Right.
He's a top draft pick.
Right. Top 5.
Draft. Goes to the combine and is there, and all of a sudden he's listed that morning as the top 3 most hated athletes in the world.
Yeah, on like some.
But 48 hours prior, he was celebrated.
Right, and so
that would destroy me.
Yeah, and it's really terrible story, because, I mean, if you don't follow football, you don't have to understand this story. But when you're top 5 pick in the draft, you get what's called a signing bonus. And this signing bonus can range from, $5 million to $22 million to $25 million. For him, the speculations is that he lost $15 to $20 million because now he dropped from the first round to like the second round.
I thought it was third.
No, it was the end of the second round.
And very last pick of the second round.
And he ended up getting like a very small signing bonus. But
so basically, this cost him $20 million.
Yeah. And so, if you watch it, I'm sure you'll be entertained, and it will be something that make you think. But watching him talk about like at the end, his life and how he's pushed through this, it was admirable, because I think that it's one thing to, like, hit rock bottom, but never have really risen to the top of anything, right?
You were almost at the top.
But the top of everything, and like you're right there, and then all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out from underneath you.
I'd kill somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we were watching it, and I was like, literally, this person ruined his life.
Right.
I mean, luckily, he, by faith and the grace of God, like, he was able to pull himself out of it, but he's never going to recover from that $20 million that he missed.
Yeah. So like, so the episode today is really like in line with that. Like, how do you like recover in a case like that, right?
Well, okay. So before we get into that, last week we were talking about the fact that there's lots of layoffs going on right now, right? The economy is kind of gearing up for the recession. And so if you guys don't know our story, back in 2009, Eddie and I both worked for a large corporation. It went out of business. We were both displaced along with 13,000 other people just in LA alone.
Right.
And so we filed bankruptcy. It was a tough time. So we watch very closely like recessions and, times like this because we know what it's like to have to get through some of these storms. So here's some of the like notable companies that are laying people off right now. Snapchat just laid off 20% of their employees. Wayfair laid off 870. Robinhood laid off more than 1,000. Peloton over 4,150 people. Shopify let go of 1,000. 7-Eleven 880 jobs. Bed Bath & Beyond. Let's talk about that for a second because they just closed, I think, 800 stores.
Yeah.
And in the news last week, you told me that the CFO of Bed Bath & Beyond committed suicide, jumped out of an 18-story high-rise and, committed suicide. And so I'm reading all these reports about his death. He was talking about taking a break from business, like right before this happened. And basically, right before this, they got sued. Bed Bath & Beyond has a $1.2 million lawsuit that was filed the week before he committed suicide. Basically, all of these executives had fudged the stock's value in order to get a massive payout. And so we were just like, did he really like take his own life? Like, you're an executive for a large corporation. The corporation's not doing well.
Right.
And you're probably going to lose your job.
And he did it after the major layoff.
Right. But is that worth taking your life for? Like, that
no.
is so awful.
Right.
And so, here we are teaching small business owners how to start businesses and how to build resilience and how to find confidence and how to do hard, scary things. And we're getting ready to start session 13 of Passion to Profit, which is our 10-week masterclass for small business owners that are looking to build, grow, scale their business. And I can't help but to think like these are stories that we have to share, not just with our students, but with anyone listening to the Push podcast, because even if you don't own a business, there are things you're going to go through that will feel insurmountable. Like you cannot overcome them. And you can always overcome anything. Like I say that because we overcame the loss of 2 jobs, the fact that we almost lost our home, we filed bankruptcy. Like that was our lowest point.
Right.
And I don't think at any point, I remember specifically kind of like coming to peace with it and saying, God didn't say we can't ever have this. He just said not right now.
Yeah.
Remember? And that was like all the resolution we needed. And we were like, what do we do to rebuild?
It's that balance of like you're going to have, hopefully you have confidence in yourself and you're going to have success. And I would say that the CEOs and the presidents of these companies at some point had massive amounts of confidence, right?
And massive success.
And massive success.
With that.
But with that, you also have to have the ability to know that this can all be taken away just like that. And you have to be okay with it. Right. And you have to have that deep level of acceptance. Easier said than done.
For sure.
But I also know that you have to have in the back of your mind, like, what will I be without this? Yeah. And I think that
it can't be your identity.
It cannot.
No.
It cannot. And because everyone's got multiple stories.
Like he was a parent.
You have second chance stories all over the place. And like you think about, we were talking about the Peloton CEO.
Yeah,
right?
John Foley.
John Foley. So he's a founder of Peloton. All of you probably have heard of Peloton. Great product, right? And brings it to the marketplace. They're having a steady growth, and then all of a sudden, the pandemic hit.
Wait, can I just frame this really quick? Because years ago, like I'm talking 2017 or so, I think it's around 2017, I heard his interview. I think it was for How I Built This. And his story is incredible. Like, so this guy was a CEO, not a CEO, but he was an executive for Barnes and Noble. And then in 2012, he started like, hey, I want to do this. He got all fired up because he took, I want to say it was like a Soul Cycle class, but then was like, this is stupid. You should be able to do this in your home. Why should you have to make an appointment and go somewhere? So he raised like $3.5 million from investors for his initial like seed investment, got all these prototypes. And the whole story is like from 2012 to 2018, where him and his wife are like living with the in-laws, about to file bankruptcy. Their marriage is on the rocks. Like, I'm pretty sure they have kids. Like, and it was just like, oh my God. And you never gave up. It was so inspiring.
Right.
And then now to see him in the news where, give the update.
And so Peloton, so I think it was back in February, if I'm not mistaken, he actually stepped down as the CEO and whatever that means, whether he was pushed out or what. But Peloton had a major loss in sales. And so I believe they went from being a $50 billion company to a $4 billion company.
Mm-hmm.
So they lost tremendous amount of value. And here's why, right? The pandemic hits and all of a sudden people are going crazy because they got to work out from home.
Mm-hmm.
And so the
sales
demand
skyrocket.
for Peloton skyrockets, and they're trying to keep pace.
Mm-hmm.
But also you have to keep in mind, they're still a growth company,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're not an established organization yet. They're still growing. And so based on what has been written, they try to keep pace with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they started to, open up more warehouses, start manufacturing more bikes. The cost of these bikes are really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And then before you know it, people go back to work.
Right.
And
the pandemic is dying down.
Yeah, the pandemic is dying down. So people
want to go back to
gyms
the gyms.
are back in
Mm-hmm.
opening back up, and all of a sudden demand drops significantly, and they're stuck with all this inventory and all this extra cost.
Mm-hmm.
So now they have to let go like 3,600 employees.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to like get rid of all these bikes. And now they're pairing with Amazon to sell the bikes. And so they've went from this kind of showroom, kind of Apple-ish, Tesla-ish type of.
So now your shit's on Amazon.
So now you're on Amazon, which kind of takes away the value and the
Right.
experience of buying it. But you look at this, and now today, sitting in, close to October and September, now he's being pushed out of his chair seat.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he's no longer associated with Peloton.
Right.
He does not work there anymore. Along with his wife and then all the other people that started the company with him, they revamped the entire leadership leadership in that organization. But now you think about this person, to your point, who has this amazing story,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's at a place where he's outside of the thing that he built.
I'm devastated about that.
Yeah.
I just like knowing what it takes to build a company from nothing. It's your blood, your sweat, your tears, your vision, your excitement, your passion, your ability to put yourself out there.
Right.
Think of all the years that his marriage was on the rocks, or his bank account was like in the negative because he believed in this so bad and he wasn't willing to quit on it. And then to see the success that from 2012 to 2016, 2017, like steady, like now kind of taking off, gaining press, like just getting everything that you work so hard for. And then the pandemic hits and boom, it's like valued at $50 billion and you're just rocking and rolling. And the article basically says that there were advisors telling him, hey, this is like fake growth. Like this is just, it's inflated because of the pandemic. And they really believed, no, like we're going to go all in. This is our shining moment. And so they overextended themselves, got too much inventory. And then sure enough, the predictions were correct. And now he's squeezed out of his own company. To me, devastating.
Now, let's all be honest, because people are probably thinking this. He's still filthy rich, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
But
if you Google him, it says he's an American billionaire.
Yeah. But that to founders, like
it's your company.
It's your company.
Yeah.
It's like it's heartbreaking, right? And we were talking as we were like, this has happened to Steve Jobs, was pushed out of his company, but eventually came back.
Right. He could recover.
Which is not a normal story.
No.
Right.
WeWork.
Right.
If you haven't seen the show on WeWork what is that on? What did we watch?
I think that was on Apple TV.
It's called what?
Apple TV Plus.
But what is it called?
We Crashed.
We Crashed. So good. If you guys haven't seen that, go watch that. It's another story of you built something, you made it bigger than anybody ever could have imagined, and then you kind of ran it into the ground, so your board members vote you off.
Yeah, and and that's the thing, like the companies that you were mentioning, and I hope like people like are paying attention to this. Majority of them, except for maybe Bed Bath and Beyond, right, are all like rode the wave of the pandemic, right? When you think about, was it Spotify? No,
Spotify.
Some of these other companies, like they had some huge upward trajectory when it came to the pandemic because the economy. Shopify. That's what I was saying.
I was like, don't start rumors. Yeah.
So Shopify, they thought, oh, no one's going to go back to stores, right? Our business. And so they start to double down, and they're not thinking about we're in a bubble.
Yeah.
Like you're having success based off of the current circumstances. This is not normal.
But there's a balance, like, because when you are a small business owner and you're like constantly clawing and scraping and trying to have success, and you see a little bit of win or a little bit of victory, it's like for a small business owner, it's like, I think that sales are consistent enough for me to hire a staff, right? But you're afraid to hire a staff. You're afraid to hire help because what if it's not like consistent? Then you're screwed.
Just know not everything will remain good, right? And so only the best will last. And then even when things are really bad, only the best will last, right?
It kind of reminds me, I took Jordan last week. She wanted to get a trim, her hair hadn't been cut in 5 years. And I was sitting in the chair and I was watching it. She doesn't know, but I was low-key panicking. I was like, and I don't panic about anything, but I was watching the girl just snip her hair, and it was just piling up on the floor. And I was like, oh my God, I think that's enough. And I kept telling myself, if she's not panicking, I'm not panicking because it's her hair.
Maybe she didn't see the floor.
Well, I mean, I was like, that's a lot of hair on the floor, right? And so she gets up and I go, do you love it? And she goes, I love it. It's so healthy. And it's just hair. It'll grow back.
Right.
And I was like, that's kind of how life is. Like, I think she said it. Like, isn't that, if you just knew that about life, like, it's just temporary.
Right.
It'll grow back.
Right.
And I was just so proud of her. And I think that that's how you need to look at business or your finances or, ups and downs of life, like whatever it is, like you can recover from it. So
yeah, I think 100%.
So there you have it.
There you have it.
Amen.
Push through.
And push your cart back to the corral. Speaking of push. So we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you got anything out of it, please take 30 seconds and leave us a review. Share it with a friend or family member you think could benefit from this. Don't get catfished. Push your cart back. And I think that's it.
That's it.
Push through. Bye.